This week, Holy Houses goes small. Our team, Hart and Arlig, always go big, but this time they're gonna have to go big in a very small space as they work together to design an Anchorhold for Julian of Norwich.
This is Natalie Hart. Welcome to Holy Houses from Holy Home and Garden Network. We've got an interesting project today, one that we've never touched on here before at Holy Houses. We're going to be meeting Julian. She's about 40 and she has an unusual request. You can see we're here at this church because she wants to build an Anchorhold.
I'm Andrew Arlig, partner in Hart and Arlig Architecture. The Anchorhold's very modest. We're working with roughly a 12 by 12 room. Even though it's a modest place, one of the challenges has been to get it to, because it's going to be an attached fixture to the main church, we need to get it to fit aesthetically, architecturally with what's already there. These are some traditional Anchorholds here, but I'm going to suggest to Julian that these are maybe not going to fit aesthetically, and so we're going to recommend something either like this or like that when we present these drawings to her later. I've been doing a little bit of reading just to get a sense of what the ideals are when one becomes an anchorite, what kind of space they should be inhabiting and so forth. Some of the features are necessary. Most importantly, you do have to have a window to the public, but also a window viewing into the church so that Julian can see the high altar. Now, one of the things that's really exciting about this space that we're working with is it allows us to give Julian a private garden. So she'll have a little door here that she can come out into a courtyard. She'll have this high wall which will prevent the public from seeing her seeing the public, but where she can have a little green space and enjoy nature.
Becoming an anchorite is an enormous decision. You literally get the last rites before they close you into your cell. And one of the big decisions that I have yet to make, and that Natalie will be talking about with me today when she shows me some of the designs for the cell, is whether I want to have a door on my cell. You can choose, if you're an anchorite, to be completely walled in, or you can choose to have a door that's locked from the outside so that if you get ill or if something else happens, people can come in. There'll be a window where someone can come talk to me. I hope it's not Marjorie Kemp again, because she talks a lot. Whew. There's a window where my servant will come and bring me food and fresh laundry. And then there's the most important window, which looks into the church itself. I think I'm ready for this.
We usually design this entire building, but for Julian, she wanted us to go big in a small way. Let's go meet her.
Hi, Natalie.
Hello, Julian.
It's an honor to meet you.
It's wonderful to meet you in person. Let's get right into it, shall we? First design that I have for you is very simple, and it would be built right into this corner of the church.
Oh, it's lovely.
The three tools any architect needs for an on-site visit with a client: hammer, stakes, and my favorite, my trusty tape measure. All right, so using the dimensions of the building, this is 12 feet by 12 feet. So come with me inside this first vision of an Anchorhold. So this is what 12 by 12 will feel like. And in this space, my colleague told me you need to have a bed, and a chair, and an altar. Do you get a desk?
If it's small, I can have one.
If it's small, you can have a desk. So you'd get a little bit of architectural interest from the bump out here, and this bump out would be inside your anchorage.
Ooh, I like
In
that.
your anchor hold. So that would be a good spot to tuck a chair or a desk. We'd have to lower a window so that you could get a window into the church, because I understand you need to have a window so that you can receive communion.
Yes.
Now, what were the other requirements as far as windows and doors? I understand from Mr. Arlig that the door is a question.
I've been thinking a lot about the decision of whether to be walled in or whether to have a door, and I'm ready to be enclosed completely with God.
So what does that mean for you as a spiritual act, the difference between having a door and being completely walled in?
The door makes me feel like I could still escape. And I want to be in a situation where when I hit the difficult times, there's no easy out, and where I know that I will be able to be quiet and at peace with God at any time. No one can come in to disturb me, and I can't leave to spend time with other people.
Now that brings up an interesting question that I had, because as I was preparing for actually meeting you in person, viewers, Julian is not just this young woman we see in front of us here. She's also an author. She's written down her visions and her thoughts, her meditations about her visions in writings called The Showings. And I read some of your showings in preparation for meeting you here.
Oh, that's such an honor. Thank you, Natalie.
It was an honor to read it. And one of the things that really struck me was that, the average person hearing that somebody who's just young in their late 30s or early 40s wants to completely wall
I like
themselves.
that you think that's young.
Compared to me, it is young. So, that they would have thought that this was done out of fear of the world, out of fear of other people, fear of the world. But in your writings, it is just, they are so full of love, of the love of God. Could you talk about how that love is, how you experience that love of God, and how that might be while you're just in this tiny space?
That's a beautiful question, because it really highlights the main reason that I want to become an anchorite. It's not fear, it is love. Because what God showed me in his revelations was all and only love. I didn't see any anger. The plagues that we've been suffering, God didn't show me that those are punishments for doing things wrong.
That's a very popular theory.
I know, and I was surprised, frankly, when God showed me that all the sufferings that we go through also hurt him. And that's one of the reasons why Christ came and suffered the way he did. God isn't asking us to go through anything that God hasn't gone through, and come out with more love for us.
Thank you for sharing that, Julian. That's very meaningful to me. But back to our project here.
Yes.
Now, I read in your showings that you say that the goodness of God floods creation. And this particular version of the Anchorhold doesn't really give you an opportunity to partake of that kind of goodness of God. But my colleague and I have come up with another plan. And another location, another design that we think you might be really excited about. Let's go take my trusty hammer and let's go check it out. Julian, it's this way. So one of the advantages to this spot as opposed to the spot that we looked at before is oh, you can already hear the birds.
Oh.
And this is a private spot. You won't be quite as subject to the comings and goings. If people want to see you, they will purposefully come to see you, as opposed to just shouting at you from the sidewalk, which nobody wants in any case.
No.
So come, it's all the way back here.
This is such a beautiful space.
Isn't it though?
It is. I love that people who would come to visit me would be able to come through here.
So Julian, I am sure that our viewers, and in fact I, have a lot of questions about just how this kind of life will be for you. Now, I understand that we couldn't just go to any church in this city, that we had to go to this church because you have cleared it with them. Could you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yes. So if you want to be an anchorite, you have to support yourself. And so I had to make sure that I had enough funds, and also someone who is technically called a servant, but she's really more of a friend, who is willing to bring me food every day and also to do my laundry and empty my chamber pot.
Oh, so you feel comfortable talking about the chamber pot aspect of this whole thing.
God made everything, and everything is good. One of the things that I appreciate the most about God's design of the human body is the way that he's made it elegant, the way that we contain our waste until it's like a purse, and the moment of need comes, we open it, we empty it, and then it closes back up. I think that that's beautiful.
I can honestly say I have never thought of it that way before, but now I will. So you have already engaged with this friend to do this service for you?
Yes. So my family was actually fairly well off before the plagues came, and we've retained enough money to be able to have some servants. And so one of my closest servants has agreed to be the person who takes care of my physical needs while I'm in the Anchorhold. And one of the reasons I chose this church is because it's very close to where her house is. And so she won't need to live in a room offside of the Anchorhold. She can live in her house. Even if you're able to engage with the external world like the servant will be, I didn't want her to have to confine her world in this kind of way. For me, it doesn't feel like a confinement as much as it feels like an embrace. I feel God around me like clothing that wraps around us and keeps us warm and keeps us safe. And when I think about being enclosed in the Anchorhold, I get that same sense of peace and embrace. It doesn't make the world feel small to me, because when I look inside myself, I see God and his infinite creation. But I know that most people don't experience it that way, and I would never ask anyone to choose this life that didn't feel called to it very strongly.
Well, it sounds like you are uniquely suited to this kind of life, since you will reduce your physical world, but the experience of the spiritual world will remain as large as ever for you. There are some people in our world now who like to sort of pull stunts and test things out for a while, but for you, this is not a stunt to sort of prove that God will be enough for a time.
No, thank you. When I had the revelations, I since then have been filled with such a sense of God's sufficiency that although I am a little anxious about closing myself off entirely from the world, it's an anxiousness that I can feel God taking and calming. And when I open myself to it, all I feel is love.
Julian, as we stand here in the sunshine and hearing the bird song, imagine yourself in this corner right here. So
it's perfect.
it's absolutely, the walls, two of the walls are already very high.
Yes.
We can take advantage of that height. This wall here goes to a chapel of this church. And this wall here with the 4 windows, that goes into the sanctuary itself where the Eucharist will be given to you. So you would have 2 windows into additional holy spaces. But the thing that my colleague, Mr. Arlig, and I are so excited about is we have built into this design a little bit more space, just a little bit more wall coming off here to give you, right in that corner, a tiny garden.
Oh, really?
A tiny plot where you could go out and still experience the goodness of God in what He has made.
That's the part that I've had the hardest time thinking of giving up. Oh, Natalie, Andrew, thank you so much.
I'm really excited that that is something that is meaningful to you. It took a lot of research of looking into other Anchorholds and seeing what other anchorites have done. And we were really thrilled when we found that some indeed gave themselves a small garden where they could go out and experience
I'm
the creation.
so filled with joy. Thank you. Special thanks to Andrew Arlig for his camera work and for Natalie Hart for her fantastic hosting.